Bass players, today I bring you the second section on our series on playing chords on bass and chord construction. So let's get started. Now that you know how to play major and minor triads, as well as the dominant 7 chord and major and minor 7 chords, we're going to talk about chord extensions. So if you're not familiar with the major and minor triads and the 7th chords and all that, please go back to part 1, and it's really easy to learn. You'll have to learn the pattern for the major scale and all that. So for those of you who have seen that video, let's get started on our chord extensions. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is that, and this is the most important thing, if you've seen the first part of the video, you know that I don't like to memorize a lot of patterns or a lot of different chord fingerings. What I like is simple formulas. That way I can come up with my own, whether I'm in C major or E flat minor or whatever. Formula number 1. The 2nd degree of a major scale when played an octave higher equals the 9th. So that's our first extension. So let's see, if I take the major scale, right here I'm on G, that's my root, 2nd, 3, 4, 5, 6, major 7, an octave. And I take this note, this is the 2nd degree, and I play it an octave higher, which is that note. Then I have my first extension. Now, because we're on a 4-string bass, it's a little harder to play some of these extensions. On the next video, I'm going to talk about different ways of addressing that problem. But for now, we're just going to concentrate on the formulas. So we have the root. We know from our previous lesson that in order to make a major triad, we need the root, the 3rd, and the 5th, right? But sometimes the 5th has to be played over here, right? Now, root, 3rd, and 5th. So that's my 9th right there. Now let's find another way to play that 9th so we can play all these notes at the same time. So that's our 9th. So that's the 2nd, played an octave higher. That's our 9th extension, or first extension, right? So we got, let's see if I can even play this. Let's see. So this fingering isn't really practical, but it's just to show you that it's made up by the root, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 9th. First extension. So here's another way of playing that. If we avoid the 5th, we can go root, 3rd, and all bar, and play the 9th. So that's another way to playing that. That's probably the way I would play it. And you can throw the octave here to the root, so that's a nice fingering too. That one's easier. Alright, so let's take that same chord and make it a minor. So we have, for the minor triad, we need the root, the minor 3rd, or flat 3, the 5, let's see here, So that's our ninth. So we got root, third, 5, and 9. Let's see if I can play this. So all I had to do was take my third degree and flatten that. That's such a nice sound. And let's see if we can play it like this. So the extension is just the second degree played an octave higher. Now, the second extension is the 11th, which is the fourth degree played an octave higher. Now, let's see if I can even play this, because some of this stuff is just, it's a little bit of a stretch. But we'll give it a try here. So we got root, second, third, fourth. And if I play that an octave higher, which is this note, that's my 11th. So let's see if we can play the major 11th chord. For that, we need the root, the root, the third, fifth, and the fourth. Now, I got small hands. There's just no way I can play that chord. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the fifth and replace it by the octave, and instead play, let's see, root, third, octave, and 11. And that's a fingering for it. So that's our 11. So the important thing to memorize is that the fourth degree played an octave higher becomes the 11. That's your second extension. Now, if we want to make that minor, all we got to do is flatten the third. Let me see if I can play that. And that's a chord right there. All right, moving on. Let's talk about our 13th. And that's one of those extensions that freak people out. But it's, as you can see, this is like really simple stuff. And it actually makes you sound smart, you know, when you talk to other musicians and you're talking about 11s and 13s and stuff like that. So the formula for that, or a little trick, is that the sixth degree of the scale played an octave higher becomes our 13. This is going to be a little tricky on a 4-string bass, but we'll give it a try. Let's see if I can play it maybe here. And I'm moving this up and down just to make it easier for me to stretch. Some of these chords are kind of weird. So let's go to the root. This is going to be my root, 12th fret, third, fifth, that's the sixth. So we got root, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this note has to be played an octave higher. That's going to be a stretch. Let's see, what's a good way to play that? Well, let's try this, just for the sake of this lesson. Root, third, fifth, and that's 13. And I'm tapping it. I don't want to get into the tapping thing just yet, but so what I want you to do is I want you to take this information and just come up with your own patterns. It's possible that you're playing a 5-string bass or even a 6-string bass, and you're going to come up with different ways of voicing these chords. For instance, one that I use all the time for like the minor ninth is, and you know what? This is a good example because I wanna talk about this for a second. So I'll take the root, the fifth. So I'm not playing the third yet, and the ninth. And then when I add this note up here, that's a flat 3. That's not really an extension, although piano players call those tenths when they do piano exercises and stuff like that. But us bass players and guitar players, we just think of it as a major or minor degree of the scale played an octave higher. So we have the root, the fifth, the ninth, and then that's my flat third or flat 3, which is the minor scale or the minor chord. Remember, the third of the degree is what dictates whether it's a minor or major scale. So that's such a pretty sound. Now here's the trick. If I wanted to make that chord major, and I'm going to try to play this. I'm really, some of these chords are just, I'm raising the third, which is played an octave higher by half a step. So I'm taking this. So on our next lesson, I'll be talking about chord alterations and also all kinds of tricks to be able to play these chords, because I mean, just trying to stretch for guys with small hands like mine, it's just not very practical. But I'm going to show you a bunch of different tricks to work around those problems, those technical problems. So if you like the lesson, please subscribe to our channel. There's more coming in the next few days, and hit the like button and share it with your buddies. If there's anything that you'd like to learn, or if you have any questions about this lesson, comment below, and I'm going to leave a couple links below as well for our Patreon account. We can't do this without your support, so like and share, subscribe, and visit our Patreon at www.patreon.com/Beck. We'll see you soon.